Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Islam Answers back here with more great videos for you. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and again, the notes that we use in this video and in all my other videos and my debates are available on my Patreon. Click the link on my profile, which you see right here on the screen. It's on the profile. Click it. It'll take you right to my Patreon. Become a supporting member, and you can have exclusive access to these study notes, so you too can be well informed and prepared to debate, have dialogues, discourses with the Christians and the Christian missionaries trying to come against Islam. You can push back and refute them with these arguments. So join the Patreon and take advantage of these notes. Now, this is part 2 to the refutation of the before Abraham I am claim of John 8:58. In the other one, we showed you that Jesus clearly could not have been saying he was God, because in several verses prior, he already made it clear that I'm a man telling you the truth that I heard from God. That means God is someone else. I heard the truth from God. John 8:40. Then in verse 42, he tells them, look, if God were your father, you would love me because I came here from God. He didn't say that I am here as God, or that I'm God incarnate, or that I'm God in made flesh, or God as man. No, he said I'm from God. I came from God, and I did not even come on my own. It was God who sent me. So that's clear. So now let's go and go into the actual understanding of what is actually being said in the verse itself. We showed you that he was not saying the same thing God said. In the Hebrew and the Greek, it doesn't match. God in Exodus 3:14 in the Greek versions says ego eime ho on, but Jesus says ego eime. He leaves out the ho on part. If the writer of John wanted us to think that Jesus was saying that he was God, he should have made Jesus say ego eime ho on, because that's the actual phrase that God was saying, was referring to himself. Because in the rest of that verse in Exodus 3:14, he told Moses, so go tell them ho on has sent you, not ego eime. So Jesus just says ego eime. He doesn't say ho on. So what did he mean in the actual passage itself? Well, if you read verse 56, he speaks about how Abraham saw the coming of his day, and Abraham rejoiced. He rejoiced at the coming of Jesus. As what? As the Messiah, obviously. You see? So this is what he was saying. He was saying, before Abraham I am, meaning before Abraham I am what I was prophesied as the coming Messiah. So Abraham saw my day and he was happy. And we see that Jesus in other places speaks of other prophets who prophesied of his coming, right? He says other prophets prophesied of his coming. So in this way, he was before Abraham, because Abraham, before Jesus ever came into existence, right, on earth, he already was known of. He already saw his day, and the other prophets already also saw the coming, and they prophesied the coming of the Messiah. So in this way, he is before Abraham. Okay, it's very simple. All right. And look, I even have some of your Christian, or at least one of your Christian commentaries that support this position. Here I have the commentary of C.K. Barrett. C.K. Barrett in his The Gospel According to St. John. As you see here, he says, look, he says, instead of coming to the erroneous conclusion that Jesus is God, we would more easily see that Jesus was speaking of himself as the Messiah of God, who was foretold throughout the Old Testament. See? So I didn't make this up. I'm not just putting my Muslim spin on it. As you can see, even your own Christian commentary can acknowledge this position. Okay? Mr. Barrett goes on to say, meaning even before Abraham existed, Jesus was foretold to be the promised Messiah, not God. No, before Abraham, he was the foretold coming of the promised Messiah, as you see here. C.K. Barrett goes on further to say, Abraham saw the day of Christ, verse 56, right? Abraham saw the day of Christ because God told him it was coming. That day existed in the mind of God long before Abraham. So in this context of God's plan existing from the beginning, Christ certainly was before Abraham. So there you go. That is the meaning of it. He is before Abraham because Abraham saw the coming of his day. He saw the prophecy of the coming Messiah, not the coming of God, but the coming of the Messiah. And this was always, as it says, was God's plan from the beginning. So because God already had this plan and the prophets were told, including Abraham, to see this coming of this man before he came, in this way, he was before Abraham. It was already decided that Jesus, the man, as you saw in verse 40, was going to come and be the Messiah. So Abraham saw it and he was happy about it. He rejoiced. So in this way, he was before Abraham. There it is. Case closed. Finished. Plus, if you're still not convinced that he wasn't trying to say it was God, well, look at the next verse after it. Look what does he do after that? When they still don't get what he's saying and they pick up stones to stone him, does he act like a god? No. Instead, it says he hid himself and he ran away from the midst of them. He ran away. He didn't stand strong like he was God. He didn't stand there and say, yes, that's right, I'm God. You can't hurt me. Instead, he ran away, man. So that his actions even prove that he wasn't the mighty God standing before them. Okay? So there it is. It's clear. He was saying that before Abraham, I am the promised Messiah who was foretold to come before I ever came into being, right? Abraham saw me. So therefore, this is how I am before Abraham. Very clear. Don't forget to like, follow, and these notes, as well as the other notes that I've used in my debates and my refutations here on TikTok, YouTube, my debates that I've had actually in public live debates. They are available on my Patreon. Join the Patreon, become a supporting member. And you too can have access to these notes so you can study them and be well prepared and well informed. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.